Hey guys, it's Rush Luck here. Thank you so much for coming through. I appreciate all the follows, and I definitely want to help you guys deal more damage. For all the people that say that damage comes from being leveled, levels don't really do too much for you other than give you a little bit of defense and slight upgrades inside of the scaling. Most of the damage is going to come from upgrading the weapon itself, and of course I'll make a video on that coming soon, or you could just look at someone's video on smithing stones. One thing that I also want to say, this is an adventure game. This is a prime example of just paying attention to your surroundings and kind of just going with the flow at that point and exploring. I saw those rocks were southeast of my location, went to the nearest spawn southeast, and there you have it. Now this is after beating Radon, so I did notice this little change in the map after beating Radon, as you can see with the helmet that I put on to complete my Lu Bu cosplay. And all you're going to want to do is make your way down this little ravine here, which of course is another part of the exploration. But while we're doing that, the reason the Erdtree Star weapon is so great is because it scales with strength, dexterity, and faith. So this is a perfect weapon late game if you're a faith user, mainly due to the scaling and the fact that later in the game, of course, you're going to be up against heavier armored enemies, and they're going to be able to, of course, attack you through a lot of the lighter hits. So if you're not just spamming the Hoarfrost Stump or spamming the Shadow Step, it's a really good option for you if you want to really just hammer your way through all of the enemies. The scaling itself really shines after you get it to level 10. You'll notice that you'll get around a 400 point increase, especially if your strength is around the 60 to 70 point mark. And it's going to be the same with faith as well. So you can legitimately create the most damage if you're a strength forward build, instead of like rushing through the faith first. Of course, faith is awesome. It's really good to spam abilities. But if you're doing faith first, you're probably having more mind than strength. But if you have more strength than faith, then this is definitely the way to go. You make your way through the ravine, and this is the quickest way to get to Nokron City. This is also where you're going to want to go with, I believe it was Ronnie the Witch. She sends you on a mission here, and then you have to make your way down here, beat a boss, and there's like a Nokron blade. And that's what she's looking for. And then after you give that to her, you can finish that part of her mission. Once again, I will say, I realize that a lot of these videos are extremely long. So longer videos tend to not be as entertaining or as engaging. But if you watch all the way through, you can see that majority of what I'm doing here is exploring. And when you explore is when you really get the biggest benefit out of this game. So coming to the video, checking out the guide, I really appreciate you guys. But if you really want to get the most out of this game, really stop and look around and take a look at everything that's going on and have some fun while you do it. It'll really be the main reason why you'll be able to discover new things and really make the gameplay and walk through your own. Otherwise, you're kind of just playing the same as me. But you're basically going to want to make your way down here. Go through all the ruins area, pick up all these smithing stones, somber smithing stones, which will help you upgrade your weapons before you get all of the minor bells, and you're able to buy them infinitely. This will also lead you to the path where you can get the Mimic tier. And you can fight those. Me personally, depending on like the amount of experience for the enemies, I either will or won't. And depending on if it's even worth the time, risk, or anything like that. Now, if you've already made it this far, I just want to say I do appreciate you even more for sticking around, and I'll definitely be making more guides in the future. Oh, just then I just used the rainbow stone to see if I was able to make the fall. And the rainbow stones, if it's green when you throw it down, you're able to make the drop without actually taking any damage. So you're gonna go through this main area here, and this is actually one of the areas where you're gonna encounter one of the most OP summons in the game. In my opinion, even stronger than the Mimic summon, because the Mimic, legitimately, after they nerfed it, it's almost pointless to have it. You hit that Grace, then make it to the next area there, if you're not already annoyed by whatever's following you. Make your way down and explore this entire area. This area is extremely helpful to get the summon for the Great Shield Warriors. And if you think the summon isn't helpful, try fighting against them and just imagine what it would be like if you were to use it against a boss. Right? So these are the guys. They take little to no damage, and you can't even go through them, and they just run at you, and they hit you, and then they box you in, and then one of them will throw little bombs at you on the side. It's really helpful. After you kill them, make your way down to this Fog of War, and then you get your first opportunity to test how strong your build actually is versus yourself. And I mean, my build is pretty buff dependent, so I mean, in this scenario, I was able to catch myself off guard because I didn't allow the Mimic to buff. And of course, what's the most difficult way to fight with a person that's in the air shooting arrows at you and a person on the ground running after you? So I gave my Mimic a run for its money right here. I was trying to cheese him, but the Mimic is pretty smart and was able to tank a lot of that damage. As you can see, it tried to do the Ash of War on me, but my build isn't broken enough for a Mimic to use. There's actual mechanics that go into it, so my Mimic isn't as broken as other people's Mimics are. You can't just spam your attack or spam an Ash of War or just spam your abilities. You actually have to think. So yeah, but of course, one thing you could do is take off all your armor and then let the Mimic copy you, and then put your weapons and armor back on, and after that you can make this a really easy interaction. A boring one, but an easy one. After you beat this, you make your way down the little bridge that way, and you get to have your first encounter with Amaterasu, or Elden Ring's version of Amaterasu, with the spells, and of course it's a red tiger and all that, and it looks pretty cool as well. The main reason I'm showing this is because there's a little flame that you light, and once you light that flame right there behind it, it'll set you up for another boss as well inside of this area. And it's also a pretty cool fight. It'd be cool to have this as a summon, to be honest. I don't even know if they have it in the game as a summon, but I would love to have it as a summon. Who doesn't want like a pet companion wolf with spells doing all that? It looks legit. After you beat Amaterasu, you go ahead and light the flame. Stick to the left side of the area, and you should be able to find either the hallowed ground or another landmark that's close by. Look for the jellyfish, and after you find the jellyfish, you should be able to follow the rest of those jellyfish to a little ledge down on the bottom, and that ledge will take you to the next Grace, which will put you one step closer to getting the Erdtree Star colossal weapon. Just follow all the jellies. You're gonna have to fight through 2 Crucible Knights as well before you manage to get to this point. They give you some silversmithing stones and all that other good stuff. And this is also a place where you can get one of the other emotes, the inner order. So if you see someone flash in that inner order emote, it's because they've actually made it this far in the game already. And this is a good opportunity to use your mimic, because there's going to be 2 of them. And it's always nice to go 2 versus 2 instead of 1 versus 2. So you just handle this boss fight. And after you finish with the fight, you're going to go to the grace and all that other good stuff. But since you're here, if you, of course, do enjoy the gameplay, I'll just let y'all watch this little video right here and then chime back in later. Side note, one of the things that I found really makes these gargoyles die really quick is if you back them into a corner, they can't backstep, and then you can just really dish out a ton of damage. And most of their attacks are dependent on you backstepping or them being able to hit you on a retreat. So it's a really easy way to deal damage. After beating them, make your way around and you should see that there's a grace somewhere nearby over here. And of course, the main reason I was looking for something around here is because in the Radon boss fight, after you beat that one, even though it's a huge area, if you go and explore, you'll notice that there's actually the War End catacombs over in the I think it's the southwest or northeast side of the map after you beat it. So you come to this grace, and after you go to the grace, use those experience points that you just gained. And of course I was at 84, so if you need a good idea of where you need to be, just get to level 84 and you should be able to handle this boss no problem. You go up to the right and you should see a coffin just kind of chilling there. Jump on the coffin and rest in it. Once you get inside, of course, magical things will always happen. Afterwards, you'll be out of the coffin and at the top of this waterfall with the grace right in front of you. Gotta appreciate this game with all the cutscenes and the armor that you actually get throughout the entire game. So great. And you're almost there. After you've beaten the twin gargoyles, you've already made it into the coffin. You got the grace there. Then you're gonna make your way a little down here, and you'll see that there will be a minor Erdtree boss. Same as all the other locations, except this time, when you make it there and you kill it, you'll actually be getting yourself one of the strongest faith weapons in the game. Of course, if you can handle getting mauled to death with that same weapon beforehand. And as a little Easter egg for you, because a lot of people say, oh, it's all about leveling. Here's a nice little thing that you gotta get on the side here as well. Once you beat the Erdtree, you're gonna make your way onto the branches and you'll find that there's a little cave here. Turn on your lantern and you'll see that there are ants everywhere, and there's also a little queen ant there. Buff up, and essentially now you are pest control. And what you're gonna want to do at this point is kill everything in the room. Of course, that's always the game plan to assert dominance. Just kill everything in the room. I'm not gonna lie, they kind of had me in the first half too, but you know, I made a little comeback. Make sure to check the ceiling as you would in any of the Dark Souls games, because you never know when something's gonna jump out at you. Now, here's the part that's actually cool if you actually stuck around to watch what happens when you kill these in this area. If you kill one of these, you end up getting a Newman's rune, which will, if you sell it to a merchant, will give you around 15 to 30,000 for your grace. So you sell it and you get grace for those. And then you look down and you see the bountiful amount of grace that's about to be befalled on you. So of course, same scenario, buff up, but be very careful this time, because as you can see, there's a ton of ants on all the ceilings. So my first game plan, I'm not gonna lie, was to just go in and then kill as many of the queens as I possibly could. But I ended up getting all of the queens. I got a little greedy there. I got all of them. And I was like, you know what? I just won't even worry about the worker ants. I'm not even gonna press OK to get any of the runes. And I kind of just bet it all on black. And after that, just turned on the blender and let pest control do the rest. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for coming through, checking out the video. And if you stayed all the way throughout the entire 20 minutes, you're a real one, and your attention span is literally at like 520,000 plus IQ. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to check back for more content on Hellish Court, another game that I'm playing, and more guides here.